अफगानिस्तान में अमेरिकी सेनाओं की वापसी की 31 अगस्त की मियाद लगभग करीब आ गई है, पूरी होने जा रही है। और ऐसे में बहुत बड़ी चुनौती अफगानिस्तान के लोगों के सामने खड़ी है। आगे उसका भविष्य क्या होगा, खासतौर पर अफगानिस्तान के आर्टिस्ट के लिए एक बहुत कठिन दौर शुरू होने जा रहा है, क्योंकि तालिबान की सख्तियां खासतौर पर आर्टिस्ट के ऊपर बेहद भारी पड़ रही हैं। हमारे साथ आज बात करने के लिए उमद उमैद आज एच शरीफ ही हैं, जो आर्ट एक्टिविस्ट हैं अफगानिस्तान के। और जिस दिन काबुल के अंदर तालिबानी घुस रहे थे, उस वक्त भी उमैद की जो टीम है वो काबुल की दीवारों को पेंट कर रही थी। वेलकम टू एबीपी न्यूज उमैद। It's great to have you with us, and good to see that you are very safe and sound. Namaste. Uh, my first question to you, Umaid, is that is it uh, a painful time for the art world of Afghanistan, and do you fear that the art world of Afghanistan and especially the artists are again being thrown into some kind of prison?
Thank you for having me in your show. Namaste, and my greetings to your audience. These are very, very dark times for us, especially for the women of Afghanistan and the artists of Afghanistan. We clearly remember when the Taliban were in charge in the 90s, they banned any expression of art. They destroyed the Burj of Bamiyan. The museum, parts of it was destroyed or looted, as well as during the Mujahideen. So these are not good times for art and culture. And especially now, since this offensive from the Taliban began, we remember a comedian in Kandahar was taken out of his house, was shot dead by the Taliban. The video of his capture was recorded and shared in social media. Again, yesterday, Fawad Andarabi, just north of Kabul, was taken out of his house, shot dead, many bullets. Their fault, they're not members of the government, they're not people with guns, they're not warlords, they're just artists. Art, being an artist is the biggest in a Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. And all the artists in art lords who are working with us or outside our network, they're all fearful. They are hiding and they don't know what future holds for them.
You mentioned about Fawad Andarabi. We have seen that painful report of Fawad Andarabi allegedly being shot in Andarab. Why the artists are being targeted by the Talibani fighters? What's the reason? As you mentioned, that they are not the warlords, they are not the fighters, they are simply the artists, and they are busy with their artwork only. So what is the reason why they are being targeted?
This question should be asked from the Taliban. They're very much now in social media and everywhere. But in my opinion, the Taliban are really scared of two things. First, it is the women of Afghanistan. I don't know why they fear women. They imprisoned women when they were in charge in Afghanistan in the 90s. They will do it again this time. They will not let women to have the liberty to choose. They will cut their wings. They will not let them uh, choose, get elected, work in the government, be part of the society. Half of the society, the beautiful half of Afghanistan, is now abandoned, and they're not part of any decision-making process. And the second thing that the Taliban are afraid of is art, because art and culture, it brings hope, it brings color to life, it makes people hopeful about their future, about the future of their children. It encourages people to ask questions. It can bring a renaissance as it did in Europe, and Taliban are afraid that through art and culture people will ask questions. The Taliban regime is only black and a bit of white. There's nothing else in it. There's no room for beauty, for kindness, for empathy. There's no room for art and culture. They will only know one thing, and that is to get a gun and then kill people publicly and spread fear.
Umid, we have seen the pictures that even when the Taliban was making ascent, when they were at the doorsteps of the Kabul, your team was painting the walls of Kabul. So that was clearly the kind of hope you were with, that somehow the Kabul will not fall so soon. What happened thereafter? And today you are joining with us from Abu Dhabi, so obviously you must have left Kabul sometimes. Could you please tell us the story? What happened after 15th of August? How did you manage to get out, and how many artists are left in Kabul now?
It is very shocking to all of us, and I'm sure it's shocking to the Taliban as well, that how soon Kabul fell. We were painting, my team was painting. It was just a routine day, another normal day for us, because my team has been painting in Kabul and the provinces all week long. We had a public exhibition 2 days before that. We had mural paintings in 5 provinces, or 3 days before that. And it was around noon time that we heard, and there was panic in the city, and people were telling us that the Taliban are coming. I think parts of it is because the previous president and his team fled. They escaped very cowardly and left the whole Kabul in a vacuum of power. And also, it was a shock to everybody else. We were not prepared for it. I and my family, the only thing I was able to get was a backpack and my laptop. And this clothes, I only had one clothes with me. And this was given to me by a person as a charity when we arrived here in Abu Dhabi. We were evacuated to a very complex situation. And you know what is happening on the doors of gates of the Kabul airport. And we reached out to everybody, especially we reached out to our friends in India, because India is a center, a capital of art and culture, especially in South Asia. And we were counting a lot on a strategic friendship between Afghanistan and India. But unfortunately, India did not even respond to our request. The artists and activists, we just wanted a visa. We did not want any evacuation. We did not want anything from the Indian government. We did not want any support, any financial support. We just wanted them to help the people who stood up, who counted on the friendship of India for the last 20 years. But unfortunately, everybody abandoned us. So a lot of artists and activists, very few of us were able to get out to some of the countries, but a lot of them are still left behind and they don't know what to do.
You mentioned about the of not getting the Indian visa. So when did you apply? And like how you are disappointed that the Indian visas were not being issued to the artists, especially who are more vulnerable and who are banking upon the hopes with India, moving out to India as a safe harbor.
I'm actually, to be honest, I'm even angry and upset. I'm disappointed at how our Indian friends treated us because I have reached out to everybody at the Indian embassy in Delhi and everywhere. And we were not asking for a lot. We were just asking to help us during these dark times, help us issue a visa. We applied through the embassy in Kabul. We applied online, but I even did not hear anything that if they want to help any of the artists. I'm really disappointed. And a lot of Indian friends, they just, when there was a time that we counted on them, we needed them, they just disappeared. I think the history will record this. This day will pass. Afghanistan will be there, this land will be there, the people will be there. And for our children and the children of Indians, this will be a day that will be remembered in our books and our history, that they did not help us. They abandoned us, as many others did. But we were counting a lot on the Indians.
Many people were evacuated by the Indian government, Umid, and I'm sure there will be more opportunity to get people out. But as far as the art world of Afghanistan is concerned, how do you feel currently that, have you lost the gains made during the last 20 years, or do you see there could be some hope with the international pressure, with some kind of international assistance in Afghanistan, and people, especially the artists who are not fighting with the Kalashnikovs, they would be able to save the art and tradition of Afghanistan, as well as they could be able to save their own families?
We have come a long way, Pranay. The artists of Afghanistan, the civil society of Afghanistan, the people of Afghanistan, they have moved a long way in the last 20 years. They're more educated, they have seen the world, they're connected. The eyes of the world are now looking at Afghanistan. What we are doing right now is uh, trying to have an international advocacy that can really put pressure on the Taliban that they cannot bring the same regime they had in the 90s. That needs everybody's effort, everyone in the international community, every artist in the world, every art management organization. They should come and help us. Make sure that we put that pressure. Make sure that the eyes of the world are not looking back from Afghanistan. Also, the artists of Afghanistan, the ones who are out and the ones that we are helping to get out, they will continue doing their work. They will never stop. They will never, we will have exhibitions all over the world. We will show the art of Afghanistan. We will continue the tradition. This regime, if the Taliban continue, this will not continue. We know that the last regime they had only lasted 5 years. But Afghanistan will be there. 35 million population of Afghanistan will be there. Millions of Afghans who are outside our borders will be there. So the art and culture, we will carry it on our shoulders, on our hearts, and we will continue this work. We are committed to this work, and it will never die.
As an art activist, as a prominent voice of the art world of Afghanistan, what would be your appeal to government of India, especially and more so at large the world governments, and especially the United Nations and the international agencies? What kind of role they could play at this juncture, especially to save the art world and artists of Afghanistan, who are more vulnerable with the advent of Taliban in Kabul?
I plead to them, I plead to all these governments and institutions that they should see me as a human being, as a person who has suffered a lot. I was born in war, I was raised in war and violence. I saw so much war and violence in my lifetime. I lost members of my family. I lost at least 3 members of art lords in these explosions. It is a responsibility on the conscience of the world that they cannot leave us here. Artists are the most vulnerable sector of the community in Afghanistan right now. They don't have any means of supporting themselves. They cannot protect themselves. They're in the direct danger of being targeted and punished. So it is our duty, it is our moral duty to help them, keep the pressure on the whichever government is coming next and on the Taliban to make sure that they are not targeting artists, and that we could at least have some art and cultural organizations present there.
Thank you very much for being with us, Ahmed, and I hope that your voice will be heard. The international community, the world governments will look at this important issue and aspect, and especially the most vulnerable sections of Afghan society, which are the artists and the women, and their cause and their plight will be addressed. Thank you very much for sharing your time and space.
Shukriya. Thank you very much.
एबीपी न्यूज आपको रखे आगे।